Thanks, everybody. We are going to go live with Christopher Witecki. He's going to give us the astrological download, and he's actually live at his event, Unite the Light. So he's going to be on for only a half hour today, roughly, and I'm about to bring him up. So give me 1 second. Let me know where you guys are coming from and how your last week went and how it's feeling like your next week is going to be, and we'll see if that matches up and coordinates with planets and the stars and the asteroids and the Earth. Yes, everybody's excited. Whoa, that's
Hey,
amazing.
buddy.
How's
Yeah,
it going? You
this
in
is the
Times Square?
Opryland, and this is a resort in Nashville, Tennessee. We're here for Unite the Light and what we call now Afterglow. And Afterglow is where we sort of hang out some with people and kind of decompress by the pool.
Nice. Is it
Yeah,
cool? How's that going? How did it go this weekend?
it went really well. We had some tech problems, so that was frustrating. But that's I would say I blame the hotel for that actually. Not that it matters for subscribers, but other than that, we kind of ran a little bit late. But we had a great weekend. We had Robert Edward Hand was our keynote. Edward Branson was our keynote. That was amazing. And we had another person here who's a local light worker who was amazing also because he kind of gave us a booster shot about money and finances. And he was fantastic, Mr. Wright. He's like built 65 homes for homeless people. He's got 100 more in the works, in Nashville. So 100 homes under one guy's mad stage. It was pretty incredible. Be a helping hand, and that's with no donations, no donations. He's pulled it off with city grants and business leaders and all sorts of stuff. So his name is Mark Wright, and he's amazing. And then of course we had a couple of great presenters. One who presented kind of the way to master yourself through human design, and one who presented how to market yourself through human design, how to find your authentic self and use human design to discover that, and what to advertise to find the people who would be most interested in you. So a lot of great. We had Archangel Metatron, the Palladians, and Mary Magdalene all discussing one topic at the same time. That was just so.
So
And then we
I,
did,
I
yeah,
want
and
to
two more
ask
panels.
I want to ask if there's a way for people to view this after the fact, and then
Yes.
also, what can you tell us that you learned from this weekend?
Um, I learned. Let's see. Personally learned
Well, just learn
like
from the information that people listening can integrate, rather than us. What can we give for free, basically? What valuable information came out of this?
I'd say the most valuable information for the general public is that the biggest, you know, the biggest grab for under fear and mind games is about to happen. So the last stand of dark is about to happen. We call this the frequency wars. It's the final stand. It should unfold sometime in June. So to expect, what appears to be really bad news. But this is the kind of the last stitch effort. The Palladians weren't the most about it. They've been prepared. They've already seen the Earth's future that we come through it. So there's no concern about the outcome, but the individual could be really scarred in the process of allowing their dark fear to take over their mind. This is a last attempt for mind control.
Okay, so be ready to be grounded in our center and not be so distracted and swayed by fear.
The ultimate lesson, message was you are your source of truth, not anything outside of you.
Right.
And your mind is not your source of truth. The mind is an observer of reality,
Hmm.
a dashboard, if you will, to see how far the car is how fast the car is driving and where it's heading towards, but it's not the source. And so that's the biggest problem people have. They listen to their feelings and to their heart to know what the truth is. If you're in your right mind, which means your right mind meaning your heart and your feelings are what's ruling you, you will not believe what you're being told, and you should stick with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're definitely getting this message out way ahead of time, so it doesn't look like we're saying this way ahead of time. Perhaps we can quote this later, as a means. It's like we're telling you now before it happened. There's a play for your mind coming up starting this summer. A play to buy into something, most likely buy into something that whoever they are, they tell you you need. It most likely will use Trump as a means of something, you know. So he will be brought into it. So if you have a lot of anger and resentment towards that president, that's fine. You're welcome to it, but don't allow it to add to anything else. Like be careful about being manipulated. When you're angry and you're upset, you're easily manipulated. So, this is not being on the side of anyone. I personally am not on the side of the president, but I know how this chess game works, and that there's always there's always a scapegoat for the ones who are really hiding, right? And so, that's a possibility. But at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with this president. This is, according to Palladians and agenda, that's been going on for 20,000 years. It was the reason why Atlantis was destroyed. This is a galactic moment. The galactic society, everyone else off Earth is actually waiting for this moment. And once this moment is over, we will be a galactic family. In other words, we will be visited officially, and that will happen officially.
Short term? Like we're talking like, or are we talking like in 100 years?
No, we're talking about in the next 2 years.
So maybe
They will be making themselves known. They're already known to our governments, and so they're just waiting for this last little blip. There's some things we have to handle on our own, but they still come in through channels and mediums. They still are here among us, that walking among us. But for the most part, it's not officiated yet. I mean, Earth is about to graduate into its galactic place and before what it really is. So one of the things that we learned about from the Pleiadians is that the Earth is in fact um, the makeup of all the genetics of the universe. All the Milky Way's genes were put into one being called the human. We were deliberately crafted to solve the universe's problems. We have the genes of different races that often fight and can't get along. So we are a living embodiment of that fight, which is one of the reasons why we fight so much. We're also endowed with emotion and creativity and other characteristics that other alien species don't have. And so as a result, we have tools that we can use to be autonomous and stay connected to source. And this is about children waking up to their real power and who they are. And, the bird throws the other baby bird out of the nest for a reason. The baby bird has got to realize it can fly. And so to some degree, we're being allowed, they're allowing, our galactic brothers and sisters are allowing us to be thrown out of the nest because we need to know that we can fly, right? But they won't allow anything terrible to happen to us. We actually have guardians in the galaxy who care deeply about us because we're a part of them. See, we are relative to every alien species. We are their children. Every alien species had a baby, it was the Earthlings. And so we are so tied to everyone, which is why everyone wants to take claim over us. But it's a maturing moment, it's a real maturing moment. But ship's about to hit the fan, and you need to stay in your heart. Of course, we'll guide you every day at Serious Joy. That's our purpose. Human Garage will guide you. So you're not alone.
and
Not
so
alone.
if that's inspiring to people, is there recordings for them to watch? And how do they
Oh
get?
yes. So yes, to answer your question, the answer is yes. You could buy the whole thing in its entirety right now, and you can watch it at unitethelight.love. And so that is for the same price it was if you attended or if you watch remotely. So, but however, I would say in the coming weeks we're going to be cutting it up and selling it in pieces.
Cool.
But our staff is tired. We need a break. So
Yeah.
we need a break. We've done. My staff has done tremendously well. I mean, dedicated people on Serious Joy. The people who came and presented, they weren't paid. They weren't paid. Nobody was paid. Like this was a volunteer collaborative effort. We're currently in the red. We've lost money on it even so. But because the message is important, and the biggest message is to unite the light, that we are up against the extermination of those who want to exterminate us. And so, we have to, as light workers, come together and protect each other and be all for one and one for all in that light, and rebuild what the fabric of community and society is. We have to, we feel like we need to demonstrate the way it ought to be instead of complaining how it's not.
Right.
And so that was the larger message. The message of the whole event is celebrate ascension, and what that really has to do is the idea of we need to become celebratory that we have won, that we are number one, that we are the champions. Like that energy of we have won and celebrate that we have ascended is the manifestation perspective to take in order to ascend. So let's go there and let's celebrate like it's happened. Let's be like it's happened. Let's make a strong distinction between us and them. And the thing is, you can't fake joy, right? You can fake an orgasm, but you can't fake joy. So really, to live in that joy now is the best thing anyone watching right here could do. The best thing you do is live in your joy, enjoy who you are, put out that light of joy and love for yourself and admiration for yourself, and it's infectious. Everyone wants it.
Celebrate. I mean, that's
Celebrate.
actually powerful rather than take the victim role of being manipulated. And I mean, that's so easy to do as well, which even lends to how that resonates even more for myself is like the easy way is very obviously not the way. It's like,
When you're a victim, you give up your power. Period. That's your giving up right there. When you say I'm a victim, you said I take someone lords over me. Something lords over me. It's a denial of your God essence.
yeah,
So you're either a part of God or you're not. Which is it? If you're a part of God, well then why the fuck would you ever be a victim? You're
and it's
God.
a choice. Yeah,
You know, it's a choice. It's a choice people make. Because it's a creation, you can create that if you like. You can create it. You can be miserable as long as you like. That's your right as a child of God. So go right ahead until it gets so stinky you can't take it anymore. You know what I mean? I'll
yeah.
be in the corner partying.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and putting on that event and taking some time away to come with us. I know that we're
You're
probably
welcome.
going to cut early today, but before we
Yes, a
get
little
to
bit.
that, uh, who's dancing in the background? Before, are
Oh, I
those
don't
your
know, but
people?
they are. I don't think so. Let me see.
They're celebrating.
Those are serious joiners. That's Taiki
Yeah,
Okamoto there, and James Patterson, and Brenda, our new light runner.
sweet. So, yeah,
Yeah,
they're celebrating. They're celebrating ascension.
that's
We,
perfect that they came in like that. See how God works? It's so perfect.
right. So what's
Yeah.
going on this week? Because I know that there was a lot leading up to this weekend, this last weekend, and what's going on for the days this week?
Well, shift starts to happen now. We're at step 28 today, I believe. And I'm going to actually. Oh, hold on. I think they might be trying to take my. Hold on. I'm sorry. It's trying. I opened up my laptop and it's trying to take over my iPods. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, yeah, everything's good.
Okay. Okay, great. So I don't know. Maybe it does both. I'm just opening up my notes here so I have it handy. Well, ultimately today we're at step 28, Taurus. So this is the Grandmaster Day of Manifestation. So what you want to do today is commit to the feeling that you want to come. So be what you want to come. Commit to the feeling you want to come. We had the Sun conjunct Uranus. I think that was actually our problem. Is the Sun just as conjuncting Uranus? All of our tech blew out. And I was like, damn it, that was probably not a good idea to do an event on the Sun conjunct Uranus after all. But actually, it all worked because people, improvised and got to know each other better on the floor, and it was really good in that regard. But that ultimately, that Sun conjunct Uranus was the, that was basically a decision. That was basically a choice over the weekend of, are you going to take the high road or the low road? Which is going to be. So it was really that victim versus self hero opportunity. And we're still really in that energy field. So the universe wants to take us all high. The universe wants to take us to a higher place. Now you should know that there are centrum systems that come with that, in the sense that if you're holding on to lower, you're going to feel diarrhea, stomach cramps, anxiety, the sweats. Like you're going to feel a lot of heaviness inside you, maybe even a slight illness, maybe cold or flu. Because if you have been living in the low swamps of low vibration, and you take this invitation upwards, the stretch it's literally stretching you, and so that lower part has to fall off, right? And so there's this heaviness that people might be feeling. Our team is feeling a fatigue, very heavy fatigue. So with that said, even though you may be feeling fatigue right now, you might be feeling kind of drained. You want to still focus and you want to still focus on the feeling you want to come in the future, the feeling you want life to be. What do you want your feeling to feel like, right? That's ultimately what you want to commit to. You commit to that feeling. Oops.
No, you're still good. We're still here.
Okay, you started circling like there's a problem.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
I heard everything.
okay. Good. So that's ultimately the big thing. But let me do a day-by-day play-by-play here for you and tell you what's going on from the perspective of all the planets. So tomorrow we go to step 29, and tomorrow will be in some regards very difficult because we are in fact going to be tested on all of our values. And I feel and imagine that what's going to happen is you're just going to have things come up that sort of test you all day long. And that test is really a final test. You should know that. So your response to yourself, not the world, is what's important. And so if you feel afraid that something could go wrong, you're living in the future, you're not living in now, Respond to your feelings and get yourself back to the now. If everything's fine now, then be that now. You know what I mean? So you want to be your future all day long tomorrow. So the next 24 hours, you want to feel your future. It's okay that you slip off. Come back, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Show the universe over and over again. If you take me here, I'm going back here. If you take me here, I'm going back here. And which that back here is home. Okay. So we hold that. That's going to be a test of emotion. And let me just look at. I'll just look at those charts here, the stars. So now. And so, yeah, in fact, right now the sun's already moved to step 29, so the test has begun. All right. Now, at the same time, we are, if you hold that correct space, we have a triplet of step 25 happening. So what's going to happen is the North Node and Jupiter is at step 25 and Chiron's at step 25. What that means is if you were holding emotional space for a higher, brighter future, you're going to start to receive downloads from your higher self about what comes next. And I've already been receiving these downloads this whole convention. So I'm getting a lot of insight on what's coming up next. You're going to be fed the next data. And what happens is we cross over into to Gemini in the next 24 hours. We will then begin to download the new Thoughtware. Okay. And Thoughtware is my little term for the programming of your mind's operating system, which is what Gemini is. Gemini is actually the operating system. So, Gemini is actually the DOS or the iOS. It's not what you write on Microsoft Word. It's not what you actually think. It's the processing of thought. So we're going to operate a new processor, okay? And so for the next 7 days, basically, we will be bringing down how we think of ourselves. So the moon will be tomorrow. The moon will be in Pisces. The moon's just coming out of Aquarius right now. So right now we're sort of feeling the future. We're feeling high vibes. Things are going. We're going to Pisces, and so really for the next 2 days, when we go step 0 Gemini, which is Tuesday, step 0 Gemini lasts until Wednesday morning, so a full 24 hours of 0, okay? And that full 24 hours is 0, like more than 24 hours, right? More than 24 hours is 0, so like 24 hours and like 20 minutes. The significance of that is when you have an extended step, you're laying down a footprint of something very important. It's giving extra time and energy, extra space to a given step. So if you have a wide step 0, which we're about to have, you know that we're laying down the foundation for an entirely new way of thinking about ourselves. That's what's happening. And so, and this entirely new way of thinking about ourselves and thinking about ourselves in terms of how we reflect and how we frame ourselves up in our own mind, this is the new Thoughtware premise. So I'll tell you right now, if you allow yourself to think of yourself the same way in the next 2 days, you're in trouble. Because no matter what you think about yourself, it's not new. You're going to sign up for the same old. Okay. And the problem with this Gemini transit is that, the sun is not going to cross Jupiter and Gemini. And so that means that there will not be a conjunction between the sun and Jupiter and Gemini. That means that the heart will not audit this Thoughtware. Right? So think about that. So in most cases, when Jupiter comes down, it expands our perception of a reality. It's been expanding our thinking for a whole year now. Okay, it's going to move into Cancer by the end of Gemini. It's going to move into Cancer. So that means that we'll start expanding our feelings. We're going to start expanding our feelings before we ever had the sun cross and have our heart endorse that mindset. That means that.
You broke up a little bit there.
Okay, I'll say it again. It means that because the sun will not cross Jupiter in Gemini, it means our heart will never audit this new mind system. That means that basically there's no check and balance system to make sure that our new operating system is in line with our heart.
Okay.
That means that people can become delusional, batshit crazy, right? Because they allow their mind to run away from them and they never check with their heart, which is your source. So if your mind's like, oh my God, they're out to get me, they're out to get me, they're out to get me. Oh my God, the world's against me. Oh my God, oh my God. And you never go to your heart like, really? Is that what our heart feels? Is my heart telling me that that's true? Is my heart telling me that is what I signed up for? What I came to experience on earth? That's what my heart wants? And so if you don't get that checkup, is that what my heart wants? Then your mind is free to run without talking to the sun.
So it's not happening automatically, but we still are invited to manually check in with the heart.
What this is like a...
With the new
universe is correct. Yes. So, I mean, for those who've done the work and know that the heart is the ruler of your soul, then hopefully you've learned by what we've taught you, and you'll check in your heart, and you'll know, anytime your mind goes off on a crazy tangent, your heart will bring you back to center again. We've all had nights where we're like, oh my God, this person's cheating on me, or blah, blah, blah. Like, our mind just goes off to a crazy standard. And then we fall asleep, we wake up, and we're like, I don't know where the fuck I was, man, but I was not, that is not me. Like, you recognize the next day, you come back in your heart, you realize that is not the truth. My mind went off crazy. People who do drugs, who could disconnect from their heart based on the drug, I think marijuana connects you to your heart, but speeds and, you know, um, other types of drugs that are popular out there will disconnect you from your heart temporarily while you're under that. So you combine any kind of disconnection with the mind running rapid and no heart center to ground you again, you can go off into loony land, man, because nothing's keeping you in check. So we will see a lot of people once Jupiter gets in Cancer, being hospitalized, being committed, suicide, a lot of just crazy stuff like that. Because the nature of the universe is set up right now to not automatically check you to make sure you're in check. You got to check yourself. If you don't check yourself, usually the universe will check us. But now the universe is not going to check us. And I think that is a setup and a plan from the angels to natural order, just allow things to die off. They're not equipped, who have done the work, who haven't put in the effort.
Yeah. I mean,
But I do think we'll see a rise in bad actors. I think we'll see a rise in gun violence. I think we'll see a rise in, again, we're about to go through a very difficult period where the signs look like everything's going to hell, but they're not. I'll give you an example. There's nothing wrong with the economy right now. There's nothing wrong with the economy. All right. People have fallen into fear of what may happen and they've stopped spending. Now, that fear and stop spending will cause a problem with the economy.
right.
So the people are creating the problem, not the president, not anything going on in fear are causing it. You need to know who the cause of, who drives the show. It's you. I don't care who the president is or what Democratic Party they're from. It's never their doing. Okay. We as a collective have all the power. We as a collective, and each personal choice is where the power is. And so if you put your attention on that fear and darkness, you're going to grow it. You're going to grow it. And those are the lessons that we had this weekend. We had Archangel Metatron, who came in and spoke frankly about who we are, who the angels are, that we are their children, that we are the grandchildren of the angels. Do you all know that you're angels? Do you all know that you are angelic? That's who humans are. An angelic species sponsored by the angels and crafted by the DNA of the universe. We're an angelic race. That's why we can wish upon God and talk to God directly, because we're part of the angels. We're their children. They're our parents. And so they help us facilitate the creation. So when you say, my heart wants to manifest this, the angels work with Mother Earth directly and they actually make it happen. Is this something? They're a facilitator of our wishes, what they are, and our growth.
Okay. So tests are coming, Thoughtware upgrades are coming.
Yeah, so this is
Finding,
already happening. I mean, like, I'm already thinking differently myself. I've made this accomplishment, achievement. There's a benchmark for me. So, you let go of the old way of thinking about yourself. You know, Tomorrow I would say, with the sun going to zero, it's really about be willing to reframe how you think of yourself entirely. Be willing to reframe, right? Um, so that means that, yes, you've always been a loser. Yes, you've always been this. Yes, you've always been a victim. But you can just change your mind and not be. You can. And you might go, can I get away with that? It's like, yes, you're the creator of your life. Of course you can get away with it. You're the dream maker. You're the one that writes the dream. So you're telling me in your dream, if you say in your dreams you can fly, you can fly. If you say in your dreams you can't fly, you can't fly. It's all what you create. And so if you have a mind that's continually reinforcing that you're a loser, well, that's not appropriate. First of all, the mind is not the creator, it is the organizer. And so you're allowing the part of you that organizes your life to run your life. That'd be like, letting your accountant run your whole day, or letting your lawyer run your whole day. They're here to facilitate and help. They're not here to run the day, right? So really, it's a new mindset, and we take a full day laying on this foundation. Tuesday and Wednesday are both all step zero, all right? And then Wednesday, it's what we think of our self-love, and so our heart. So we're thinking about our heart and whether or not we're mindful of self-love from the beginning or we're not mindful of self-love from the beginning. Now, the moon has gone through Pisces this whole time. And so by the time that we get to Thursday, the moon now crosses Neptune, which is at 1 degree Aries. It also crosses Saturn before that, it's at 29 Pisces. So basically between Wednesday and Thursday, you take command of your legacy or you don't. All right. And so what that means is between Wednesday and Thursday, you either decide that you are the God of your world or you are not. You're either the God and therefore life will go according to what you want, or you are not. You're a victim and you're a victim to what happens on earth. That choice will be very difficult to reverse going forward. And the reason why it'll be difficult to reverse is because those who feel like they are under the play of others will therefore surrender their free will to the others, and they will find themselves played hard with this theatrics that's about to come. They'll be overly affected because they're saying the world controls them. All right, you're about to go on a hell of a ride.
So I'm hearing there's external turmoil that's happening. There's a last push for fear. We're potentially experiencing ascension symptoms. We're having a Thoughtware update. So our personality and our ego is kind of like getting jostled around and forced to make a choice. And this is all here right now that we get to go through this week.
It starts. You know,
Okay.
I honestly think that the real first smack in the face will be in June.
All
So I
right.
think that I do think that you're going to be alone to make these decisions without chaos. So I think that there won't be actual chaos because that actually will actually force the hand of your choice. So the universe will give you the right to choose your new disposition of your mindset before the noise comes in.
Okay. So
And
it's almost like
so
training wheels are happening right now.
totally. So you can choose in peace what your path is, you know. But you know, one thing at Unite the Light that I got affirmed, all of us in the light, we don't feel anything ahead coming. We don't feel any darkness. We feel no problems because we've already made the choice. And so life has already created a timeline for us where it's not a problem. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to turn on the news and be like, oh my God, the world is freaking out over stuff. And I'm not going to feel a rumble of it at all. Not a rumble.
Hmm.
I'm going to look like it's going to maybe look like I don't care and I'm insensitive. And I'm sure people who have followed me, who choose the victim role, will see me as an insensitive leader and all that sort of stuff because that's playing to their narrative. And that's fine. I'll
Right.
play that role for you. I'll play the guy that failed you if that's what you want. You know, like, but I didn't. You know, I told you for 19 years, you know, that this is going to happen. So, you know, the record will show, and then heaven will laugh over it over a drink of ambrosia that you were just caught in the mind game.
Ambrosia.
Yeah,
All right. So I feel like we've still got the end of the week to cover, right?
we do. So, you know, what happens on Friday is that, you know, we just basically mix in these primary states of awareness. These primary states of what do you protect? What do you love about, you know, what's your mindset on love? What's your mindset on feelings? When your mindset is on protection and your heart on feelings, I'll tell you the correct mindset to take that it does not take away free will. It is, I protect myself as the source and creation of my life. You can protect, I'm the creator. I'm not, everything that happens in my life is my creation. So that's the first boundary you have to set. Then my first priority is my heart and what my heart tells me. My mind obeys my heart, period. Period. There's no other way than that. Mercury revolves around the sun. The sun does not revolve around Mercury. That's what you say. And then emotion. My emotions are I'm mindful of my feelings before I think anything. I'm mindful of my feelings. And then we get to step three, which is Friday to Saturday, which is I'm mindful of what I believe in myself. If you're mindful of your heart, your feelings, what you believe about yourself, you will not be controlled. You make that the priority. You will not be controlled. You will know that if a lion comes in your path, you ask the lion to come, and therefore you can ask the lion to leave. You'll know that anything across your path that appears dangerous is somehow been allowed by you, and therefore it's no threat to you because it's you spooking yourself. However, if you choose to believe that the outer world sent a lion in to get you, then you will probably be eaten by that lion. So I'm saying that's the premise right there, and that is the split between the old earth and the new. That's the split right there. So the split technically happens, you know, and the reason why it happens in Gemini um, and even deeper in Cancer is because you know the world currently is operating in the mind and under mind control and mind games, and so most of this will actually happen in Gemini when they probably shouldn't happen in emotion, Cancer. But unfortunately, that's what control is. So they're getting earlier control over you than they should have. What this means practically is people freaking out at the news.
Yeah. And so what people that feel like they need to know and be activists and need to have an opinion, what like what do we say or what would you say if that person asked you like, well, there is bad stuff happening, there is a war, there is yada yada yada. What's your what not that we're trying to convince those people, but if somebody is asking, even internally, what do I do about all this stuff? What's your answer?
There are people. The answer is what your heart tells you. So if your heart tells you you're meant to be on the front lines, you are. Go exterminate the pests, get rid of them. They have to go. So there is a literal wars. There is literal enforcement. There is literal fighting, and I did that in my past lives. I did that already. I've got that lesson. I have nothing more to learn by picking up a sword. No, nothing else to learn. I'm done. So I've done it. I've sacrificed my life. I've sacrificed my family, my children. I've sacrificed all that for those things, and I'm done. Now I will be part of the new leadership. I'll be part of the new Congress. I will have a role in this new Earth that's more direct. But I know that my time on stage is after this the smoke is settled. Person, my heart knows that that's my role this lifetime. I have been the one to cross the border and invade. I have been the one to, be right there in the front line. So if your heart tells you you're supposed to be there, you are. But you're there. Why? Because your heart tells you,
Hmm.
not because it's the right thing to do, because it's the world you want. It's the heart. It's what your heart wants. That's why you're there. So there are plenty of people who get directly involved and scream in the faces of those who are taking advantage of us, and will pursue justice and will, persecute and all that stuff. Yes, it'll all happen. If that's what your heart's telling you must do, then that is what you signed up for in this life, and yes, you should go do it. But do it under do it because you create your own life, and you're seeing through that the life you want to create is going to happen, not because of an external threat. It's not because there's this, threat outside of you, and that's why you're doing it, because you've been brainwashed to fight in those times. Because remember, they feed off that fight. Like the more you fight, the more they feed. So a part of that particular position, the front lines, is every time you throw a punch, you just fed them and punched them both. So you get worn down punching, right? That's why war doesn't work. You get worn down because you feed the other me. If someone you come at them really hard, now all of a sudden they're half dead. They come back to life. They punch you back. They take your energy and then turn it back on you. War is unnecessary. It's a waste of time and energy. However, I can only say that having gone through them. Like if I hadn't gone through one, I'd have to learn it and go through it. So
Right.
yes, people have a calling. People have a role. If your heart is that you need to speak now, then do. However, in most cases, if handled right, the dark destroys itself. You just sit back and let it happen.
Yeah. I
Really.
like that answer. It doesn't suggest that we all should be doing one thing. We all intuitively will
Correct.
fall into our roles and just pay attention to where you feel alignment.
Correct. Yes. Where you feel your calling.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, where you feel
Amazing.
your calling, you should.
Did we
Yeah.
cover every day?
We pretty much did, because that gives us a Saturday, which is like a learning day. And then Saturday night, Sunday, it's step 4. So I am predicting that Geminis will reboot. Geminis in particular are going to probably reboot over the weekend. So, keep your eye on your local Gemini. They might, they may think they're going insane for a minute. And that's because they are holding on to the old Thoughtware too hard, and they're refusing to reboot. So a lot of times Gemini has to be slapped upside the head, not by a person, but they end up manifesting a big enough shock that makes them let go of their thinking. And those are the Geminis who resist, who don't have an open mind, who allow themselves to be controlled by their own mind, who program really deep ruts in their mind. So, Geminis, they're going to be rattled the most this week, because God Universe is saying, okay, I gave you a year of Jupiter in your signs to see things differently, to open up. We're at a time now. And when the sun goes to 4 degrees and Jupiter is at 27, let's see, where's Jupiter? 26, that's the moment where you have to commit to what thought where you want. Now, for those who choose to keep thinking from the fear victim perspective, you'll begin to really start to get victimized at that point. So you're going to trim the volume. You're getting what you asked for. And so you're basically devoting yourself with Jupiter 26. You're saying, this is the story. I'm the victim. I don't have part of my life. I'm just thrown here. I have no opportunities or chances. And so the universe is like, sure, we'll play that game. We'll play that record for you. No problem. So the universe will give you anything you want, ultimately. It's just hard to believe. But it's okay. I mean, we've all been there. You know, I've all been there. All light workers have been there one time or another life or another.
Yeah.
So I think the weekend is particularly hard for those. I think for those who have done the work, there is an epiphany that happens, or like the veil is lifted. And that epiphany ultimately is that, you'll see something you have never seen before, but that was always under your feet.
That's the epiphany.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and these are mind games. It's like you suddenly realize something that changes everything you think, and changes everything in your whole life. And the only thing that happened was your mind changed.
Right. Because it was always there. You knew it was there.
It was like it's like all these. It's like when Spielberg would like zoom in and then pan out, where you like see the background come rushing in that shot, like which is a trick of like zooming in and pulling out at the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
time. Like,
Like moving towards you and
um,
zooming out.
yeah. So it's like the character's like has a realization, or Neo's like, I am, realizes he's starting to believe. It's like that moment, um, and so you have this realization, and so everything in your world changes instantly, and nothing actually changes. It's a really interesting phenomenon. I'm expecting that for people in their hearts, um, this weekend onward. And then what happens is we have to, starting next week, we thoughtfully upgrade the new Thoughtware, which is like, if you have the epiphany, like, well, wait a second, I'm going to create my own reality. Well, then I'm just going to change my reality. I'm going to quit bitching, and I don't have to worry about not having a rent because I can make that happen. And if I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about that. Like, so for those who have the epiphany, there's nothing to worry about. There's
Okay,
nothing to
so
worry
if
about.
there's something we have been worrying about, then we just go do it. We just trust. If it feels like that's the thing, but there's like a obstacle that we're worried about, what's the advice there?
That's all in your head.
Okay.
It's probably something else. I mean, when you're actually worrying about something, you're usually actually seeing the signs of a past life mistake happening again. And so you're actually afraid of the past life happening again. You're not afraid of what you're thinking you're afraid of. So most of the time, worry is actually projection of the past life onto the present.
Yeah, you're running a program.
You're remembering what you did wrong the last time. The worry is actually a message from your past life self to like, don't fucking do this again. And but it comes up here. It's like worry, like I'm getting this voice, like something's wrong. No, it's saying don't do something wrong. It's a
Yeah.
message to not do something. It's a message to not screw up again. It's not a message that's gonna happen. It's a message like don't let it happen. Note for me, future self, don't fucking let this happen again. You know, future self. I just got this note. Oh my god, I'm worried. Hold on, hold on. Like it's actually a huge, huge benefit that you got a note from the past life to this one. It's a huge, huge thing, and and truth is, nothing will happen to you that you do not accept to and agree to. Nothing. So when you're really worried about something, you have to ask your heart, did I agree to this? Did I agree to this to learn something? And even if it's bad, your heart will say, yeah, God will tell you you agreed to it. God will tell you very
That's
calmly.
that's extremely empowering. That reminder of nothing is going to happen to you that number one that you can't handle and number two that you didn't choose. And
Correct.
so move
You
forward
can't
confident.
move forward trusting yourself in that choice. You know, if you like sign up for something, I mean, like when people have had cancer or different things, a lot of them tell you they know they signed up for it.
Right. I mean it's
They knew their whole life was going to happen. They knew their whole life was going to. They knew it. They knew it. They had a hard time accepting it because they didn't understand why they made the choice. But they knew it. They calmly tell you, "Yes, I made that choice." Well, for the advantage of heaven, um, it's all a reality game. It's all a virtual game. It's all virtual reality. This is a video game you're in right now. I know it seems real because that's how good of a video game programmer God is. But at the end of the day, it's not real. You come out fine, perfect, nothing harmed, all your friends there, all your enemies there as your friend drinking ambrosia. It all comes out perfectly fine every time, every time. It was really interesting talking to Mary Magdalene, the wife of Jesus. I asked her on the thing, I said, first of all, why do you have a reputation of being a whore? Like, how did
right.
that happen?
Yeah.
She explains the whole thing. She explains the whole thing. Basically she was using anointment oils, and that's what hookers use to smell good. And so she got associated with being a hooker. But I'm being crude, but that's what it was. And she explained that and how because her enemies didn't like a woman who had power, and so she had these men. How she left John the Baptist because he struck her in public, and he was physically abusive to her, and then she was set up with Jesus. So Jesus was her second husband actually, and she told us all these personal stories. But what she told us that I did not know was that the reason why Jesus' mission was not actually to die for your sins. It was that when people died, they were getting lost and not finding heaven. That's why Egyptians had the whole death ritual and all the death practice because They knew they had to teach you this belief so that when you died, you found the light. If you didn't know there was a light, if you didn't know you're part of this bigger thing, well, then you would manifest and stay lost, wandering the earth as ghosts for the rest of eternity.
I mean, most secret societies, mystery schools, cultures, it's all about the afterlife and the journey from this body and like the route to get to where you need to go. Like you need to practice that. You need to be aware of that because so Jesus, well, that only makes sense that the true message of Jesus would be about that, and then somehow it got distorted.
Well, I mean, not somehow. It was Constantine and a bunch of other dark fucks who like who deliberately used his message and against us to keep us brainwashed and under their control. But that was his mission, him and Mary, and they're twins, they're partners, and she was the feminine. She says, I was the masculine, he was the feminine in the marriage. He was a softie. He was like a woman in a man's body, and she was a man in a woman's body, and so they trade roles in the normal gender for that mission to happen. So that's also interesting. She's amazing. Man,
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing that we can channel entities. I mean, it's amazing. I'm thinking to myself, I should bring some guides, and we should I want to bring George Washington. I want to like talk to the forefathers next. I mean, that's my goal. Is like, I'll tell you now. It's like I want to get some mediums so we can pull in some historical people. I want to pull in like Washington, Jefferson, and someone else, spirit, and have a discussion with them next.
Do we have just a quick weekly recap
Sure.
for
And I have to go.
Diego?
Someone's at my door. Yeah. So basically, today is you're being tested in how you respond to yourself. You need to keep your emotional tone to what you want life to be. I don't care if there's comets landing. You should be having a martini and relaxing. And then the next 2 days, you have the foundation of your thinking has to be really clear. Are you gonna let yourself go there or not? Who's the boss? Your mind's boss or your boss? Which is it? So your new approach to yourself has to be, and I think yours today, Roz, like nothing bad can happen to me. Anything I worry about doesn't have to happen. I don't. Anything I worry about will not happen because I didn't want it to happen. So that's it. It's that simple. And then how involved is your heart? Who's boss? Your heart or your mind? And that's happening on heart or mind, boss. That's on Thursday. Emotions. How's your mind thinking of your emotions? That's from Thursday to Friday. From Friday to Saturday. Is what you believe about yourself going to be valid or not? And then epiphany come Saturday night, Sunday. So profound epiphany between Saturday and Sunday. So basically just remember everything, and if you need reminders, join Serious Joy, because we'll send you a text message 7 times a day, reminding you of those things.
Okay.
Reminders.
All right. Take care of business. And everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for the comments. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Rob. We will see you next week. Thanks for the reminder today. I'm in Central Time. I was just, I'm with our clients, and I completely forgot about my normal stuff.
Well, I'm
So I
excited for all you
apologize.
guys being there.
I'm excited too. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited everything's happening. So I can't wait to catch up on after the big epiphanies. Compare epiphanies on Monday.
Yeah, cool. Yes, we'll do. All right.
All right, brother.
Take
Much
care.
love to everyone. Talk to you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye bye.